of Coffee and Crits. Today we have a very special guest in Jacob's brother, Tyler. How are you two
Hello.
doing? How are you two?
Oh, I thought you said, "How are you, buddy?" Like talking to Tyler.
Oh,
I'm
I
No,
didn't.
doing
I said
great.
two.
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
I mean, I'm really tired, but I mean, who isn't tired? But I'm pretty excited for this topic today. It just seemed like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll let you start off with the topic because I know a lot of it was your idea and getting Tyler in here and stuff like that. So tell everybody what we're planning on doing.
Yeah. So today, what I really wanted to do was just breaking down how to build a really great multi-classed character, and kind of going over what like groups work together like the most coherently, and then after like a good bit of discussion, maybe building one together as a team, and kind of just showing how you can make those abilities all stack together to really get the most out of it. Because there are a lot of people that like they build their characters for fun and stuff, but some people get like that they get the same excitement out of building a fun character but by building the most maxed out character. And I just thought it would be fun to go over something different like that. We went over a lot of other stuff, so I thought it'd be fun to do this one instead. And knowing Tyler's one of when it comes to building characters, he loves to get the most out of his character.
Oh yes.
So
No,
whenever he said he was
He
interested,
likes to use the most amount of books he can to make said character.
right?
I
Which
have
means
made
he's
a
trying to
character
get the
that
most
uses
out of it.
4 books.
And
I can use 4 books to build one character.
as long as it has a pet, he's good to go.
That
At least 4 books and a pet, and you're sold on Tyler.
So I figured it would be really good to get his input in that aspect, because Kyle and I, we love making characters, but we make them like these weird off the wall characters.
some of your guys' characters are crazy.
Who needs min-maxing when you can be a kobold bard?
That's the problem. That is the problem.
Hey, he gets the job done.
Who needs min-maxing when you could be a halfling rogue? Oh, wait a minute.
That is min-maxing.
That's the definition
That's
of
the
maxing.
yeah. Mm-hmm. You're that guy.
I'm just good at what I do.
No, you're that guy.
Yeah, it's called min-maxing.
But yeah, so anyway, I figured we could kind of start over like just kind of going over what multi-classing is, and then some obvious classes that we think mesh well together. So obviously, for those of you who don't know, multi-classing is just where once one of your stats reach a certain point, you can begin going into a separate class from the original class that you chose.
And that stat is usually, I think it's a 13. And it's
Yes.
like the stat of the class that you want to go into, like the main stat that class uses. That stat needs to be a 13 to go in there. So like a rogue gets dex, cleric gets wisdom, wizard it's intelligence, that so on and so forth.
And I think to multi-class in a paladin, you have to have strength and charisma.
I think it's one or the other.
I thought it was one or the other just for fighter. I could be wrong.
Well, here, let me just, open up this
I already-
handbook that I have.
So I have
And
my
just
players in the guy
not
right now.
tell our audience lies.
I left my player's handbook in the living room.
Well, then you're a scrub.
It's what we call a sucks to suck, my guy.
I'll be right back, guys.
Let's
To
see what we.
multi-class into a paladin, you need strength and charisma. Oh,
Yeah, I was just saying. I want to say there.
a fighter is it's strength or dex. Monk is dex and wisdom. Paladin is strength and charisma, and a ranger is dex and wisdom.
What page is that on, Kyle?
163.
163. I looked past. There it is.
So yeah, those are like that's the only requirement, prerequisite for multi-classing is to have that stat where it needs to be. And then you can multi-class into whatever you want to as long as you have that stat. So whether you should, that's the real question. And that's what your scientists were so preoccupied with if they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
dork. Was it strength and charisma?
Yes. The only one that's or is fighter.
Yeah, I thought it was that way, but I have been known to be wrong quite a few times.
Monk, paladin, and ranger are and.
Monk. So what is it? Wisdom and dex, and then for monk and ranger.
For monk, it is dex and wisdom. Yeah, for ranger, it's dex and wisdom. So yeah.
You got to be good with a bow and in touch with the forest in order to be a ranger.
Yeah, pretty much. But everything else, you just need one stat probably at a 13, and then you can do whatever you want to.
Yeah, so I think then we could kind of go over like what classes work well together, and I'll kick it off. My personal favorite is the Sorlock. Sorcerers and warlocks work really, really well together because obviously they both use charisma for their spell casting, so it gives you access to charisma based spells, so you're still going to be putting out new damage at the same input or output that you should be. But the other thing that it gives you is the ability to use your charisma modifier to add to the damage of Eldritch Blast, which is just really good. And then the other thing that what makes it so powerful is that the spell slots that you get for your warlock, you can break those down into your sorcery points.
How do you get your charisma modifier on your damage for Eldritch Blast?
There is what is it? They're not called packs. They're called give me just a second. I'll look up the word.
Your evocations?
Yes, one of the evocations you can take allows you to add your charisma modifier to your Eldritch Blast. It is...
Oh, okay, so that's just a warlock thing.
Yeah, Eldritch Invocation, Agonizing Blast.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's just maxing out your Eldritch Blast.
Yeah, but by getting that, like, you already are going to have a high charisma for being a sorcerer, so it just gets better because you've already established it. And typically, you wait a little while to multi-class into the warlock, so then you already have a really high charisma because you've probably already got an ability score increase or something like that at that point. You guys have one that you guys can think of you really enjoy?
Yeah. Probably one that I like the most is doing Druid and Barbarian. Because what it really allows you to do is Druids are kind of squishy. It's very hard to give a Druid a good armor class and make them an effective fighter. And so the best thing to do is you can take Druid and go 3 levels into Barbarian, and that gives you access to Rage and to Unarmored Defense, which is what you really want, because with the Rage, it's going to allow you to do extra attacks even if you're in your animal form, which is huge, especially with Wild Shape being the Druid's main ability. And then the Unarmored Defense, Dex is going to be a pretty high stat on your Druid just because they don't wear armor, and when they do, they can only wear up to medium. And so it's really helping. It's good synergy. It lets you boost your defense and boost your attacks at the same time. And then it gets better as you choose what you're going to be with your Druid. If you like Circle of the Moon, for example, with getting your wild shapes even more ferocious and better at fighting. And then now you're throwing Totem of the Bear on there, for example, it's giving you resistance to all damage types while you're raging, while you're a CR2 creature, and you're getting rage damage.
Yeah, that one, I really like that one. What was I going to ask you? You already answered the getting to use the rage damage in wild shape, which is really cool. I'm just trying to think of what else you might do. So when you build it, then do you focus typically on your dex and your con, and you let the wisdom kind of you're going more for the min-maxing of damage output, you're still trying to be a tank? Or do you try to incorporate your wisdom somehow, or do you let that build up later?
Well, so it's primarily a Druid build,
Okay,
So
so
you start druid, so you want wisdom, con,
and Dex.
and so because when you're in wild shape, you're not using your own stats. You're going to use the stats of the creatures you take. So let's use a wolf,
Right.
for example. So now you have all these stats of the wolf, but now you're raging, which
Right.
is going to give you that resistance. I use Totem of the Bear. It's the one that I know the best personally. It's giving you this resistance to all this damage, except for psychic, but psychic's not a very common kind of damage. And so you kind of feel it out from there. You want to focus mainly on your dex and con, just because that's what's giving you your high AC. That's what's giving you your life. But you have to remember the wisdom is how the druid uses its spellcasting. So I think definitely go dex and wisdom first, and then focus on con maybe third. It kind of varies. Depends on the play style. If you see yourself more casting and you don't think you're going to use like your wild shape as much, maybe focus a little bit more on that con. But typically your wisdom and dex just for that armor class and all that kind of stuff.
If you started out as a barbarian, you would get saving throws in con. You'd get like proficiency in con saving throws, which would help with concentration spells later too.
Yeah, and like you can do it either way, really. It's more of the ability to have that ability to spell cast first, like get those things, because like cantrip of mine that's probably one of my favorites for the druid is called Primal Savagery. Takes an action to cast it. Basically, the description of the spell says that your fingernails and your teeth become very sharp, covered in an acid, and allows you to make one melee weapon attack. Use a spellcasting modifier that deals a D10 acid damage.
Okay.
So, I think I would personally rather start it as the druid, because let's see, I don't remember off the top of my head what savings throws the druid gets, but it's gonna have those better, like, more mentality saving throws versus the beefy constitution, and I think dex is what the barbarian has. So you get intelligence and wisdom for druid versus with the barbarian.
You're going to get strength and con.
You can get strength and con. And so when you take damage in wild shape, because I think if you're going to do a druid barbarian multi-class, you're going to want to start druid, because wild shape doesn't really require concentration. Like if you take damage, you don't have to roll on a concentration table to see if you maintain your wild shape. You lose your wild shape when that creature's hit points goes to 0.
Right, yeah.
And so you don't have to worry like so much about your constitution savings throw.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's all things to look at. It's more preference, I think, whether you want to go barbarian or druid first, or if you'd rather do mainly barbarian and go into druid.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like if you were gonna go barbarian first, you would probably focus more on spell casting, and then if you went druid first, you'd focus on wild shape more.
Yeah, I just think the wild shape synergy is very, very good.
The only thing that might slow you down is that you have to be a certain level of barbarian or a certain level of druid to get your wild shape up. So that would be my only thing, but I would imagine that it would start to have its benefits once you built up to that point.
Oh, definitely. And I think it's one of those things where you kind of go probably to like second level druid to allow you to get wild shape in your circle. And then you probably maybe even go farther into druid, like four or 5. And then go to barbarian 1, 2, 3, and then you continue your build to druid.
Right.
Just because at level 5, you're getting 3rd level spell slots, you're getting a better wild shape by then. And then Circle of the Moon, your wild shape's even better. So it kind of depends on your druid build. If you're going for a DPS druid build,
So I would think then, like, if you were trying to make the most of it, you would probably go 6 levels of Circle of the Moon, and then you would do your first level Barbarian, because by 6th level you're now getting CR2 level creatures to wild shape into.
And at level 6 with the Druid, if you're focusing on Dex and if you have the right stats, your Wisdom doesn't necessarily need to be super high. Just because you're going for that DPS through wild shape. But
the only thing you have to worry about is making sure that you got your strength high enough.
Yeah. But again, that can be something that you focus on. Like if you just maybe have a little bit lower intelligence, maybe have a little bit lower charisma, to keep that strength up. If you know you want to build your person into barbarian druid.
Yeah, my guy is butt ugly, but he's awesome. All right, and then Kyle, what about you, man? Do you have a particular multi-class that you're fond of?
I mean, I have some that I like that I think are interesting. I always get very nervous with multi-classing. I don't do it very often. It scares me sometimes because I'm always afraid it's not going to work the way I want it to, and then I'm just wasting levels multi-classing. So I've only played a couple, but one that I always liked was playing the Paladork, which is a paladin and a warlock, and I don't think you take very many levels of warlock, but you take like 6 of paladin. And then you pretty much just use your warlock spell slots to do like your smites and stuff like that, so you're not wasting the paladin spell slots doing those. And then you can get all those spell slots back on a short rest because of the warlock. And then plus with the warlock you can get like Eldritch Blast and all that stuff. So I always play like the Oath of Protection paladin. So usually I'm more of like a tank, but if I need to be more at like a range thing, then I have a good range spell where I can just start blasting them with Eldritch Blast.
Started blast.
Yeah, and then I usually take the indication that you were talking about where you get to add your charisma modifier.
Yeah, it's just so good.
Right, and then since paladins and warlocks use charisma for their spellcasting, that just makes it even easier to do. I always like that one. And then one that I like more is like a joke, but I still like it, is the ridiculous skill tree multi-class.
Oh, yeah.
Well, 1 level of light cleric, like 3 levels of rogue, and then like 6 of lore bard, and you end up with like 15 skills checked on your character sheet. I did that one time when we played like really high level characters for a one-shot. That was a lot of fun. I mean, he was pretty useless in combat, but if we were in a roleplay situation, I had it. I was ready to go.
Yeah, that's I always find that one really interesting. So I guess kind of the first bit we can say here is that if you multi-class with a warlock, you're gonna be happy.
I know I've always read that a lot of people say that warlock in 5e is just the multi-classing class, which I mean, some people love playing warlock, and that's perfectly fine. But they do have a lot of synergy when you multi-class them into something else than they do just being by themselves. There's just so many things you can do with them, especially if you multi-class them. If you multi-class them with any spellcaster, really, you're going to get some good synergy because you can just use those warlock spell slots as your own spell slots and then just get them back at a short rest.
So I got a quick question when it comes to multi-classing. Is a ranged spell attack the same as a ranged attack? Like, those function the same?
For the most part, yeah.
Because I think then if you multi-classed a rogue and that, could you sneak attack with Eldritch Blast?
Yes, as long as you had the prerequisites for... I think so, yeah.
That is ridiculous.
From everything that I've always read, because there is a difference between spellcasting attacks and regular attacks, but from what I've always read is the rule of thumb is if you're rolling a dice to hit, it's an attack. So like
Gotcha.
If you cast Eldritch Blast, you have to roll a d20 to try and hit with your modifiers. So yes, it is a ranged attack.
That would be so good because you could go like real high level rogue and just try to hit for with advantage, or try to open up a target with Eldritch Blast and do like 5d6 additional damage on top of the d10.
Because I've even thought about doing that with Toto, because then I would get pack tactics and sneak attack from a distance.
That's really good.
Or maybe not pack tactics. I think you both have to be within 5, but I would at least get sneak attack from a distance. And then if
Right.
I was in combat, I would have pack tactics and sneak attack.
Right.
I guess the thing to look at though for sneak attack is it says that the attack must use a finesse or ranged weapon.
Oh, see, yeah, that probably
Okay, I didn't know.
So
if
you
it
might
said-
have to look up the ruling between.
No, that probably wouldn't work then, so
I didn't know if it was ranged weapon or ranged attack.
yeah. Yeah, since they put weapon in there, then you wouldn't be able to do it with Eldritch Blast.
Gotcha. Fun thought, but oh well.
Yeah.
But
hey, I feel like Rogue is a lot like Warlock.
Rogue
Just
is like one
throw
of
it
those
in
class.
there.
I
Rogue
always
is
feel
the
like
physical warlock.
I've always felt like Rogue is like one of those classes that does just fine on its own, though.
Oh yeah,
It has
definitely
very
does fine
few
on its own.
benefits.
Like
Like, or
it's really
Oh,
hard
go
to
ahead.
multi-class a rogue with something and make it work the right way.
the only thing I've ever learned that's also like the Warlock is taking one level of Fighter.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Because at first level you get,
Your
I
fighting
think you get
style and stuff, don't you?
fighting style, and you might get Second Wind. I don't remember if Second Wind's a first or second level ability.
I think it's first.
It's
I thought
second.
I thought. Oh, then what is
But
action surge
if you do-
first?
No, they're both second. So if you
Okay.
take 2 levels into fighter, you get
Second one.
the
action surge.
fighting style and the second wind and action surge.
Mhm.
But then if you take 3, you just take one more level, now you get an archetype. So like you could go champion,
Mhm.
and now your crits are 19s and 20s. And when you're building a rogue and you need sneak attack, and now you got advantage and you're critting on a 19 versus a 20, that gives you the possibility to put out a lot more damage. Because I see the champion probably being the best option if you're going to do that. Maybe
I don't
Arcane
know.
Archer if you're going to do a ranged build, but
Probably,
given your
well,
crits,
yeah, probably Champion, because rogues have so many reaction abilities on their own
yeah.
that I don't know how the maneuvers that you get as a battle master would help.
That's what I was going to say. Is I don't think that the Battle Master Fighter really synergizes well with the Rogue versus the Champion, or even Arcane Archer, just because you could do a ranged Rogue build, and now that gives you access
Eldritch
to
Knight.
You might as well just be an Arcane Trickster then.
Oof. But yeah, I've always read that like taking that. I mean, just think like if you took just that first level of fighter and wanted to go 19 levels of rogue, you could take archery as your fighting style and get an extra +2 to hit from range. When more than likely you're already going to get sneak attack from range, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think the fighter can really boost the Rogue's damage output.
I think it's like fighters are like the universal multi-class for martial classes, and the warlock might be that for spellcasters.
Pretty much, yeah. I agree with that.
Because I don't think you would multi-class a warlock with a wizard, maybe, just because I don't think they mesh well.
I mean, you
No.
could do it to get the spell slots, though. That's the point of multi-classing.
Yeah.
I think if you're going
and then you
to,
can just blow those spell slots on dumb spells that you don't like, like Misty Steps and stuff like that, and then you get them back at a short rest. Plus, you have
Right.
whatchamacallit, the feature that lets wizards get back half their spell slots on a short rest. So you get all your warlock spell slots back and half of your regular spell slots back.
I do believe when you multi-class that way, though, the warlock spell slots have to be used on warlock spells.
Well, then you could still waste them on warlock spells.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well,
But I think that's why like they work so well though for the other charisma based classes, because the sorcerer and the paladin, you just choose to use a spell slot. It doesn't specifically say you have to use one of their spell slots to do whatever. So like you said, like with the divine smite, you just go, okay, I'm gonna use one of these junk spell slots and I'm gonna get back in a short rest.
I think another thing to really consider if we're talking wizard, then is cleric.
Dude,
And
wizard clerics are the bomb.
Yeah, they're really
Now,
really
hear me out.
good.
They're good, but you can go forge domain.
Mm-hmm.
At first level, when you go into the forge domain cleric, you get proficiency in heavy armor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do is take one
You
level
do-
of cleric.
And I want to say the war domain does the same thing,
Yeah, so does Tempest.
but the forge domain gives you access to more fire.
It also gives you a magic weapon for free. So
You're
let's
just
talk about
obsessed-
that.
You're just obsessed
Or-
with fire stuff, Tyler, too.
I like fire,
Okay,
but
so let's make
next
a list
big
here.
thing-
To make Tyler's character, you need to have fire, you need to have a pet, and you need to use at least 4 books, and then you've made Tyler's character. Okay.
just hear me out, okay? Because also, so at first level you get that heavy armor proficiency, but you also can make a magic weapon or magic armor.
Mm-hmm.
So you give yourself chainmail. We'll just use chainmail for example, and then you make it +1. Just
Dude,
Bust.
don't full plate armor or bust.
well, okay. Listen, we can't all afford full plate armor.
Could you imagine just Gandalf the White walking around in full plate armor that's like glowing with like blue and white energy?
Right?
I would probably cry.
Dude.
If I'm gonna be honest.
That would be ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, but you'd be walking around with like an 18, 19 armor class. I think you get proficiency in shields also as a cleric.
Yeah.
So you
that's
just
why you-
set that shield up and then just
But that's why you have to take the cleric first, so you get all of that stuff.
Right. And then isn't there like a feat or something that you have to take that allows you to hold the shield and cast a spell?
You can take the Warcaster feat, and that lets you cast spells when weapons or shields are in your hands.
Gotcha.
yeah.
So like out of the gate as a wizard, you can't hold like a
Mm-hmm.
like a staff and your wand or something like that.
Why would you use a staff and a wand at the same time?
I'm saying like a quarterstaff, like as like a weapon.
Mm-mm.
Like you're not gonna like if something runs up on you, you would have to like drop your wand to grab your quarterstaff, and that to me just doesn't make a lot of sense. But I guess you could use shocking grasp.
Well, yeah.
But-
Well, let's say if you're swinging your staff as a wizard in 5e, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
I mean, you're not wrong.
You have
It's
messed
very
up
true.
severely, and you need to rethink your situation right now.
That's when Misty Step comes into play.
But that's what I did with Iki when we played Divine Intervention. I was a Tempest Domain Cleric, and then I took 2 levels of Wizard, and I took the Warcaster feat, so I was just running around with my sword, like, with lightning all over it, and just blasting everybody.
Yeah, I played a Sorlock, and let's not talk about the awesome Gloomstalker Ranger, but
Yeah, but that's its own thing, and we don't need to talk about that, because that's just...
That's not what this
That's
episode
just
is about.
min-maxing obnoxiously and being obnoxious.
Ghostwise halflings though are kind of like
dude, that Ghostwise with that, dude, I was like getting like plus 13 to the roll to hit.
just wait till Eberron.
Yes, RPG chick.
Does it, or do you specifically have to buy a staff?
No, the staff that you buy is considered a quarterstaff.
Right, but you have to buy like the arcane staff. You can't just buy the
Yes,
quarter
but
staff.
you can use the arcane staff as a quarterstaff. Like, it functions the same way. So you can hit somebody with it if you want to. And it would,
Right,
it would
yes.
do the same thing as a quarterstaff.
I was just
Yeah, so,
noting
like-
because the staff you buy for your arcane focus is more expensive than the quarter staff.
Well, yeah.
That's
So
what I
like,
was
for
saying.
example, they're like
So really, the real answer is no, a quarterstaff can't double as your arcane focus, but your arcane focus can double as a quarterstaff. It's like those stupid
Yes.
things like of square is a rectangle, but a rectangle isn't a square. That type of thing.
Square's not a rectangle.
Yes, it is. A square is a rectangle, but a rectangle isn't a square.
That is.
Duh.
Get it together, Tyler.
Look.
That's like
man.
fifth grade.
Sides
That's
have-
like 5th grade geometry right there, buddy.
Yeah, RPG chick, you wouldn't need both, but we're discussing that if you chose like a wand as your arcane focus, could you hold the quarterstaff in your hand, your other hand?
Yeah, you'd be able to do that. Well, you could just swap hands and pull out your quarterstaff if you really needed to hit something with it.
Just imagine someone walking up and being like, "Oh God," just like swapping your hands.
Pretty much.
Well, I was gonna say, so Krink has a staff, that I don't think I'd like never have to use it, but I've conveniently named it the Staff of Panic Attacks, because
Don't
it's-
at me.
because if Krink is in close combat, and can't run away or anything, there's a problem.
Yeah. If you're a wizard and you have a quarterstaff and you're using the quarterstaff to hit somebody over the head, you got
You're
bigger
doing
problems.
something
You
wrong.
got bigger problems than if you can hold it in your hand and cast a spell at the same time.
The next one that the one last one I had before we maybe dive into building a character together, Kyle and I were talking about it the other day while we were driving around, is the fighter barbarian multi-class.
And we realized that would be
Yes.
lots and lots of fun. Like
It's
all the
insane.
damage. Well, what do we figure out? You could roll by like what? It was like, I mean, these level and you also have to think about this when you're multi-classing. Yes, it sounds cool thinking about it, but you also have to remember that you have to get to like at least 10th level before all the synergy hits, possibly later. So like if you're in a campaign and it's only going to go to 9th level, don't multi-class something that isn't going to work until your 15th level, because then you're just wasting your levels because it's not going to work. That's a big thing to think about with multi-classing, is just when that synergy hits and if it's really worth it up to that point, because like multi-classing is cool, but it also sucks for the first couple of levels, because now you've got a 3rd level of something and like a 2nd level of something else, and you're just shit in both of those.
Yeah, because you have to look at it now. You are a 3rd level. You could be a 3rd level fighter and a 2nd level barbarian.
But all your friends are a 5th level 1 thing, and they're doing all kinds of cool stuff because they went to 5th level, and you're still doing 3rd level stuff because you're stuck.
Yeah.
So that's just something to think about. But barbarian one, where once you were like 11th level, you could do like 5d12 damage or something.
Every turn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like it was like you took
That's a lot of damage.
you started out as a barbarian and you went mostly barbarian. That way you got all the way up to the improved critical, because improved critical says that you get to add an additional damage dice for each hit you make. I don't think it's on the first attack. Let me double look.
Isn't that like a 9th level thing?
Yeah, it's 9th level. Yeah, it takes a while to set up.
That's,
So
yeah, just this
you
is what
get-
I'm talking about. This is what you got.
If you're a 9th level barbarian, though,
yeah, so
should you
in
really
the
start dipping at this point?
So what you do is you get that, right? And you also have extra attack at this point. So then you now are going to be doing potentially 4 D12 with a two-handed axe. And then you take I think was what, champion?
yes.
Is what we decided. Yeah, you take champion to get the 1920 crits. And then so now you're critting on a 19 or 20. You have action surge and second wind. So if you hit every time in one round of combat, you would do effectively, if you crit it, like this is saying if you didn't crit, you would get 8 D12 damage every turn plus your strength mod.
Wait, how?
Because so you get 2 attacks for extra attack at 11th level. Or do you get 3 at that point?
At 11th level, you might have.
Are we talking about a 20th level character?
We're talking about an 11th level character.
Okay, an 11th level character.
But you wouldn't get that because you'd have 9 levels of barbarian and 2 of fighter, so you wouldn't get that other extra attack. You'd still only have 2.
Okay.
You'd have to.
So you would have your first attack, it hits. You get because you have improved critical, you do an additional damage, right? Another dice. That's 2d12.
That's 3d12. Because you're getting your d12 from the hit, a d12 from the crit, and then
I'm not saying
an
with
extra
crit right
d12.
now.
Oh, okay. So then just 1d12.
Yeah, so you have 2d12. Then you do extra attack. You go again. That's 4.
Wait. How did you get the 2d12?
Because you hit, and then you have improved critical, so you get the extra damage dice.
That's only if you crit.
Yeah, that's a improved crit.
Yeah, you can roll 1 additional weapon damage die when determining the extra damage for a critical hit with a melee attack. So if you don't crit, it's still just 1d12.
Mm-hmm.
But if you crit, now it's 3d12.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So, okay, if you crit, then you get 3. You do it again, you get 6. Then you have extra attack, so then you get 9. And then you do it again, you get 12. That's like if you rolled ungodly. But even if you missed on or if you only got 1, you're going to do 6d6 or 6d12 damage, and then you action surge and do it again.
Well, and I think that the next big thing is to look at what class are you in with Barbarian for your subclass. Because I know about a pretty good class that's called Path of the Zealot.
Oh, Path of the Zealot's obnoxious.
Okay, but now hear
It's
me out.
straight up disrespectful.
It's like,
straight up
hey,
disrespectful.
you're dead, and you just go, no, I'm not.
But-
you keep fighting.
We're saying we're rage, right? We're raging.
Yeah.
And we're reckless attacking.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, okay, there's
All the time.
Okay.
So RPG chick just said Berserker Barbarians can attack 3 times in a round if you're frenzied.
Mm-hmm.
So then
Yes.
you're going like that's a ton too.
But you also have to think about the Berserker Barbarian. You're going to be taking exhaustion levels.
Yeah.
Every time you rage, you take an exhaustion level, versus do Path of the Zealot. You do whenever you hit when you're raging, you do a d6 plus half your Barbarian level. So we're going level 9, so that's 5. At level 9 for Barbarian, I think you're doing an extra 4 damage just for raging. Right?
Mm-hmm.
3
Is
or
that
4,
what it is?
yeah.
Level 9, you're doing 4 damage. You're doing 3 damage. Okay. So you're automatically getting plus 7 to damage
Mm-hmm.
4 times.
Yep.
So it's going to be plus 28.
I'm here for it.
You're getting
Bring it home.
4. How many d12 did we say it was? 8 d12?
You're getting plus 3 rage damage, so you're gonna get
Yeah, you're getting an extra 28 damage. If you're Path of the Zealot.
yes.
Okay, so you're
So
getting plus 28. You're getting, how many d12 did we say it was?
It's 2
It's 8.
on a crit. If we're talking on a crit, then it's 3.
Yeah, we're saying crit, so 3.
Okay,
So
3.
3, 6, 9, 12. 12 d12. We're saying we're critting on all of it. Okay. That is 12 d12. That is 12 d6. And that's going to be plus 56 damage. Because you're also going to double the damage from your modifiers. And so that's
A lot of damage.
That's hurtful.
even if you're rolling medians on the
I mean, yeah, if you're just rolling median,
7,
like what?
7 times
7 times
12
12 is 84. So
And-
84 plus 120, that's 204 plus 56. So you're doing 260
yeah,
damage
you're just
in one turn
That's hurtful.
at level
Yeah.
11. Or no, that's level 9.
that's all
So-
9.
That's not including the fact that you're going to get plus 2 to hit or whatever or whatever fighting style you chose at fighter.
Hey, listen here.
RPG chick, the point of looking into multi-classing is looking into the highly unlikely.
So, okay, so even if that is highly unlikely, you would only be removing what? You would still do 6. You would do 6d6 or 6d12 versus 12.
Yeah. What about Gunslock? Gunslock.
Bless you.
That sounds like a holiday.
That sounds like a holiday Dwight Schrute would celebrate.
We have to celebrate Gunslock
Gunslock. Yeah. It's in Alabama.
in Alabama. yes,
D&D is all
did-
about being statistically unlikely.
Yeah, but
We
even
wanna see
that
the
is
cool
statistically unlikely.
things.
But what we're saying is, then you'd still do 6d12 of damage, even
You'd still
regular.
do 60, 12,
Every
plus
turn
your
you'd be-
mods,
you'd be
plus that
guaranteed
56
60, 12.
damage.
Yeah, you're
Plus-
guaranteed all that.
plus an extra 66.
Right. Like,
So I mean, it's
you're only losing out on 6d12 of all that damage.
now the gunslinger class.
And then if
Uh,
you, I mean, and it's not a lot, but then if you take those 2 or 3 levels of fighter, then you're also getting where you crit on a 19 or 20, which improves your statistics just a smidgen.
Well, what we're saying for Beefka is that she
Is-
should just
yes.
be a better barbarian.
Sneak
We,
attack.
we say
When you're playing,
yes, RPG chick, because
when you're playing a
Yes.
barbarian, rogue is not your best option at that point.
especially if
Like-
you're a strength-based barbarian.
Like
That
sneak
is-
attack won't help you all the time unless you're willing to get all the way up into way high upper levels.
Yeah, and the next thing to think about is with sneak attack, you have to use a finesse ranged weapon.
Which destroys
damage we're
everything that your strength-based
Exactly.
person does.
Because the damage we're talking about here is with a Path of the Zealot Barbarian. I don't know what Barbarian Beefka is.
She chose Berserker, but she's
So
going to get
Berserker.
to do 3 attacks per
So
round.
she's going to get 3 attacks. But so we're talking about a Path of the Zealot, which is giving you that d6 plus half your Barbarian level, and a Great Axe.
I'll accept the slander. I'm the DM.
No, I'm not trying to slander her. I'm just saying that my Goliath Barbarian would kick her booty.
I feel like we're getting closer and closer to that saving throws one shot of just
Everyone in a pit?
1v1 pit fighting.
What do you mean, Jacob? Jacob's the only one here that knows about Flint Finder.
Oh, I know. He already said that if we did that, he was gonna take Gordon.
Oh, he'll do.
No, I'm not
He'll
taking
take
Gordon.
Gordon.
I'm
I'll
going to
take
take.
Flint Finder.
I'm not taking Gordon. I'm going to take my Ghostwise Gloomstalker
Gross.
and
But-
just run around and blast everyone like 8 million times before they can do anything.
So RPG chick, have you ever thought of just being? You could do like a roguish type role playing style and not take the levels of rogue. Like that's okay. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
Have
How
to be a rogue to
how I
be-
look at
Because then you'd still be
rogues-
good at fighting things, but you'd also get to do that role playing aspect that you really want.
Yeah, like how I always look at like when you're using your classes, your mechanics are always different than your role play. Like it's cool to be able to mix mechanically what you want versus what you have, but you also have to think about like you can be roguish like Kyle said, but then still make sure that as the tank of your group, you're mechanically still keeping up with the rest of the group to do what the tank is supposed to do.
You don't have to be all about DPS. I'm just saying I know how to make a character that's good at roleplay and kicking ass.
Craig Khan is
I
not
feel
about
like
DPS. He's talking about Craig Khan just does DP per yeet, like, and that means
It's obnoxious.
death per yeet, not damage, death.
Yeah, it's a little obnoxious there, Craig Khan.
But yeah, I think that
Guardian is just
obviously at the end of the day, you can choose whatever you want to roll, like to multi-class into, but you shouldn't let what you want your character like. You shouldn't
on
let
that
your
only lasts 3
character-
turns of Craig Khan.
You shouldn't let your character be like you shouldn't have to like railroad your character into it. You should always seek out the best options you have for you, your character, and your party.
Yeah, like just because we say like, oh, barbarian fighter is the best multi-class or druid and barbarian's the best multi-class, that doesn't mean you can only multi-class that. If you want to multi-class a wizard and a druid, do it. We're just saying these ones mechanically work better than your wizard druid.
Yeah. And like it RPG trick, that definitely is Beefka too, putting out 4 damage a turn, but if you start multi-classing into rogue, you will lose that.
Yeah, because what you're going to see happen is you're dipping into something that's forcing you to focus on different stats than what your character was designed to use.
Wizard druid.
Wizard druid.
I love that you didn't try to morph their names together like every other multi-class. You just used their full names together.
He did.
It's definitely a Druzard.
Druzard. Oh.
How about a Drizzard?
Oh,
Yeah, you RPG chick, you do what you want. I'm just saying Flint Finder's better, and that's
How about a wizard?
I still think Paladork is the best name for a multi-class.
Oh yeah,
that's pretty good.
I've always wanted to maybe try a dex-based barbarian and make him a bardbarian.
That sounds ugly.
Doesn't it? But it would
Sounds
work really
real
well.
Ugly.
No, homie G.
Barbarian? Heck yes.
No,
So-
please don't. What's the... We just need to make a whole... This has nothing to do with multi-classing. I just always like seeing it. When we needed to make the party of orc bards and call ourselves an orchestra.
Yes. We could do that. I mean, there's just so much stuff we could do.
That's why we can't.
I've always wanted to be a group of elves that were bards and named Aerosmith, but it's spelled Arrow.
Paladin kobold group. That's called the Pals of Din.
Yes, I'm here for it.
But yeah.
A bunch of clerics that are the Amen.
I was just about to say that. I hate you.
But yeah, these we just wanted to give you guys some advice on good synergy wise ones. But yeah, you can with 5e. It's very easy to multi-class. You can do whatever you want to as long as your stats are there. But some classes multi-class together, you're not gonna see a whole lot, and you might be disappointed. That's why I am always scared to multi-class. I don't do it very often because I'm always worried I'm gonna do it, and then I'm gonna be like, oh man, they're doing all this stuff, and I'm just gonna sit back here and cast my first level spell because that's all I can do now. Because I was dumb and I multi-classed.
So I guess since we told Beefka how to become min-max like a mofo, we're supposed to now min-max the Gunslock for.
Okay, let me
Darth
just
Vader.
look
Let me
up
look
some
up.
stuff here. Gunslinger, because I don't know.
I was
how
gonna say I don't know anything
gunslingers
about
work.
Gunslinger.
By the way, guys, we're talking about our cool new Eberron campaign that you should totally come check out. Is a gunslinger a... Oh, it's base class fighter, so it's like it's a subclass?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
It's on D&D Beyond. You guys find it?
Yep, found it. All right.
Cool. Go.
I gotta read!
So you're using... Okay, so you're a
get your
dex-based
cool-
fighter.
Yep, you get your cool trick shots.
And he wants to do it with Warlock.
Yeah. That's just gonna be like, as long as you have a high charisma, I don't think there's a lot that could go wrong with that. Cause like, now you just, can you add? Wait. Trick shots.
Oh, interesting. So like, I never knew this. Depending on what weapon you have, they have different misfire mechanics. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hand mortar sounds awesome.
Okay. So I think I figured out how to do it.
You don't. I don't see anything wrong with this.
You'll just either be able to shoot your gun and do a whole lot of damage and mess with people, or if you're not feeling that, you just do a good old Eldritch Blast.
No. You're gonna use your gun. You're not gonna need Eldritch Blast with this if you're gonna be base gunslinger.
Oh yeah, if you're shooting stuff like with all these trick shots and the grit points, which are freaking cool.
What do points do?
Do you have a Hexblade?
Oh, but this is gonna hurt. So the only problem that I see with this is you need a high dex to make your good shots. All right, Michael, high dex. If you wanted to use warlock stuff like spells and stuff, you would need a higher charisma, or they're not gonna go off as well. I mean, they can, but they won't as well if it's just like a 13 charisma. This also says for your grit points that has to do with your wisdom modifier, so you might want to have a higher that. Plus maybe con to get hit points. So like the only thing that I could see where this could be interesting is you'd have to have some pretty good stats to make it work well too.
No, I think you would really just have to focus.
So
you focus on dex, you focus on con, you focus on charisma.
So so he wants to play Hex Warrior. And it says that whenever you're using the like magically imbued weapons of choice, which I'm assuming would be his pistols, he can use his charisma modifier instead of dexterity for his attack and damage rolls.
For what?
What is that? You do Hexblade Warlock.
Yep.
Because it's busted.
Well, yeah.
And you take Pact of the Blade, which allows it to be any weapon you choose.
Okay. Hexblade Warlock.
Well, no, because you're proficient with your firearms. You're proficient.
Right, no. Using Pact of the Blade allows you to use it on a different weapon that is not just a martial weapon.
Does it say melee at all anywhere?
It does not. It just says
Jacob.
You can touch one weapon that you are proficient with and that lacks the two-handed property. When you attack with that weapon, you can use your charisma mod instead of strength or dex for the attack and damage rolls. If you gain the Pact of the Blade feature, this benefit extends to every packed weapon you conjure with the feature, no matter the weapon's type.
Yes, so it doesn't have to be a blade. It can be your pistol without choosing Pact of the Blade. Which is
okay, so Pact of the Blade would let it be both of his guns.
Mm-hmm.
Pact of the Blade would let him choose weapons he's not proficient with.
No, it says this benefit extends to every packed weapon you conjure with that feature. Oh, no matter what the weapon's type.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So, but you could then do it on both of your weapons.
Correct, but you could also look at having like devils. So you want to go at least 2 levels into this for Warlock.
Okay, so what
yeah.
What are you saying about Pact of the Blade? Why would that be important?
It's not.
Because this does say it has to be a melee weapon.
Where does it say that?
You can use your action to create a packed weapon in your empty hand. You can choose the form that this melee weapon takes each time you create it. You wouldn't be able to use any.
For Hex Warrior, if you later gain Pact of the Blade feature, this benefit extends to every packed weapon you conjure with that feature, no matter the weapon's type.
But this says that you have to make a melee weapon when you use your packed feature.
Right, but this one says that it, regardless of the weapon's type, by being a Hex Warrior.
But that's saying that it could be like a martial weapon or this kind of weapon. That doesn't change the fact that it has to be a melee weapon.
Where is it at?
Because the feature says that you have to make a melee weapon, and that lets you make any kind of melee weapon.
Oh, see, I read it as it let you. It doesn't matter whether it's a ranged weapon or a
no, because that's
melee weapon.
That's saying that you can do it to any kind of weapon that you create from your Pact of the Blade. So whatever weapon you create from Pact of the Blade, you can put that on it. Pact of the Blade says you can only make a melee weapon.
Gotcha.
The only way he'd be...
Well, you don't get your packed boon until 3rd level.
Yeah, that's so he'd have
right.
to
You're already going to have to commit a good amount of levels to this class, anyways.
Well, to get the Hex Warrior you only have to be first level.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess like we could homebrew something if we're using this for the Eberron campaign.
The only way that you could maybe, wording-wise, get around the melee thing is it says you can transform one magic weapon into your pact weapon by performing a special ritual while you hold the weapon. So if you were to have like a magic pistol, I mean, depending on how you want to interpret all that, that could get around it.
Gotcha. I'm sure we could figure something out. That way the guns are relevant to the multi-class.
Yeah.
Because I feel like whether you're doing a D6 of melee damage in close combat or at range really is not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
No, the pistol is a D10.
No, we've already discussed this.
Discuss what?
Michael and I have talked a bit about how we were going to set everything up for this class.
Mm-hmm.
And because a palm pistol, which is one-handed, is a D8, which is just like a longbow.
But he gets special firearms from the gunslinger.
Yeah.
And the pistol does a D10 piercing damage from the gunslinger class.
Right, but you can't hold two of them because it doesn't have the light property.
That's
But you
true.
can hold two palm pistols.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's a D8. Yeah, I get what Jake's saying. I thought the palm pistol was another D&D thing that you. Never mind. I'm just gonna stop talking.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I've already looked into all
Yeah.
this stuff.
So he can hold two palm pistols. That's fine. Yeah.
So I'm still confused about the problem with Pact of the Blade and the Hexblade Warlock.
What's your problem with it?
You get the Hex Warrior
At level 1.
at level 1.
Mm-hmm.
You can have your pistol. It just says a weapon that you're proficient in. It does not have to be a melee weapon. For Pact of the Blade, it does. At 3rd level.
Yeah. So your 3rd level ability would trump your 1st level ability. Because what is the thing that you're looking at? The Hexblade's Curse?
No, I am looking at the Hex Warrior, where it says, whenever you make an attack with a weapon that you are proficient in that lacks a two-handed property, you can use your Charisma modifier instead of Strength or Dex for the attack and damage rolls.
Okay.
And then that lasts until you finish your long rest, so on and so forth. So why even go into that 3rd level?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying Pact of the Blade wouldn't help as much as what you think it would.
I'm saying take 2.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
To get an Eldritch Invocation,
Because I don't
such
know.
as Devil Sight.
I don't know
that
if any of the packs would really help. Like push
Being a
this class.
gunslinger.
Yeah, it wouldn't push the class any further than what just 2 levels of Warlock could do. So you could just do 2 levels of Warlock and then keep going with Gunslinger.
Yeah.
And then maybe your evocation, like Tyler said, you would take
like Devil Sight to give you 120-foot dark vision. Like there's other ones. There's more in Xanthar's Guide. There's more in the Player's Handbook to look at. Obviously, we're not going to sit here, look through all of them and be like, read all. Like, oh, I think this one's the best. But like, because then again, you can also do like Eyes of the Runekeeper, read all writing, if you want to do that roleplay wise. I just think taking that 2nd level into Warlock to get an Eldritch Invocation is definitely worth it, but not worth it to go into that 3rd level.
I agree. And if you did want to go into that 3rd level, Michael, I think Pact of the Tome would be the best one. Because then you get 3 cantrips that you could have, so you could pick some cantrips that help build like that Jonah Hex type character. Because doesn't Jonah Hex have like powers?
Yeah, I was also thinking, like, if you did that, you could take Fiendish Vigor, or like be casting False Life, which gives you a bunch of temporary hit points.
Yeah. So like, going into that 3rd level of Warlock, I don't think is super important. But if you were, I would do Pact of the Tome personally.
Well, and especially with like 18th level fighter, you get your last archetype feature at level 18.
Right.
And so now if you are, well, you're Gunslinger. You're Gunslinger. That's what you are.
I mean, you're
So
going to
level
get Vicious
15.
Intent. Your firearm attack score critical on a roll of a 19 or 20, and you regain grip points on it.
Yeah.
But okay, so here's another thing though.
You said
And hemorrhaging critical.
if he can speak with the dead, if you were to go into that 3rd level, you take 3 cantrips from any spell list, you could just take like 3 necromantic looking cantrips. You wouldn't be able to speak with the dead necessarily, but you could take some necromantic cantrips to get that flavor.
Then also, like, so as a hex, so if you went, so Hexblade Warlock is something you pick at first level.
I don't remember.
Yes.
Okay, so if you did that though, you're already
Yes.
you're already getting at first level. If you're choosing your weapon, your damage, or your weapon to be your cursed weapon, then you're already getting a crit on a 19 or 20 at first level.
Mm-hmm.
And you already get to heal if you kill something as a
No, I agree.
Hexblade
I definitely
Warlock. So,
agree
like,
taking the Hexblade Warlock, but I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
take 2 levels of it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what we're
I
saying.
think that's really good. And you're gonna get Shield, Wrathful Smite, Blur, and Branding Smite. It's pretty good. No, you're not. I lie for attention.
You're just gonna get
Those are your
Smite.
spell levels, not your actual level.
The problem
Your
with
first level, you
want
get first
to
level
take-
spells.
You want to be the Gunslinger 3 before you go into Warlock.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, we were talking
if
about
you're
that.
not-
I almost think it
if
would be
you're not-
better to go. Go ahead.
because if you don't go into Gunslinger, you don't have proficiency with firearms.
Right.
So
I'm thinking also you want to go. I was thinking 4 levels, so you'll go ahead and get the ability score improvement.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
That's what
Oh,
Michael
yeah.
said too. He was gonna
Yeah.
go 4 Gunslinger. Yeah, I would
4
do 4
Gunslinger,
Gunslinger, then 2 Warlock, and
2
then
Warlock.
keep going.
Yeah.
Or 3 Warlock. That's up to you.
Because like for flavor, which would be kind of cool, is maybe like you have a gun, like, and maybe you're okay with it, but like maybe at first your primary weapon is like some type of like evil looking sword. Thanks, RPG chick. But like you could use like some sword to first start out, and then I don't know, or maybe we could work something out. Maybe you're already proficient with guns for the sake of the campaign or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess then our advice is 18 levels of Gunslinger and 2 levels of Hexblade. Look, man, I'm all about the story, all right?
That's literally what this is.
But yeah, I think we are at our hour mark.
Mm-hmm.
So if there isn't anything else you guys would like to know, I guess we're going to head out. Oh, cool little fun fact. Kyle, Tyler, and I are going to go play first edition D&D this afternoon.
We are.
We're gonna die multiple times.
And then we're going to have to either make new characters multiple times or go see somebody to
Bring
heal
up-
us. Do you think that in first edition, everything costs less because of inflation?
That was
Right.
good.
How dare you?
Like, do you think like a sword costs less in first edition than it does in fifth?
Maybe it's just better materials.
It's better material.
Yeah, they've just made it better.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Sorry,
that's
guys.
That's about it for us. We're done talking about fake inflation.
It's
Um,
real.
Talk about
We'll let you
the
guys
stock
know
market.
how this first edition endeavor goes. It should be interesting. But yeah. Tyler, you want to say where people can find you before we get off?
Yeah. So you guys can obviously see my name's Tyler, and you guys can find me as miniknight_017 on Twitch and on Instagram. And yeah, it's just lots of D&D. Hopefully, we'll be streaming some Apex here soon, and I hope to see you guys there.
You can watch us be super duper trash on Apex, guys. It's super duper bad.
It's not about how good we are; it's about how funny we can be.
Oh, we're hilarious.
Oh, I've got funnies in
But
spades.
we're straight
Kills,
trash.
not so much.
Especially when Jake's on our squad.
God, that's so rude.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's so bad. Jacob, you want to say where people can find you?
Yeah, you can find me dying a lot on Apex at @JakeTheBard_ here on Twitch.
I mean, we could talk about your stream of Apex the other day.
I don't even want to talk
real
about
was
that.
hurtful.
It was
I-
so bad. He was muted the whole time. Did you realize that you were muted?
No.
Oh, were you talking? Because if you
Yes.
were, we could not hear you through the whole
Oh,
stream.
I didn't think you were talking.
I didn't think you were
Oh,
talking
that-
either. And then I was like, oh, maybe he's just so mad he decided to mute it so they wouldn't hear
Dude, some
him.
some of the people that I was playing with, oh, it was so irritated. We dropped down one game and we just died. Like we dropped in, landed, and it was like squad eliminated. I was like, how does that happen?
So yeah,
I felt that.
if you want to watch more of that trash, definitely catch us on one of our channels.
But you can also find me playing other games where I'm not so bad at @JakeTheBard_. My girlfriend recently got me a super awesome game. She got me Luigi's Mansion. So I might go on and do an all-day event of that. Might be fun playing some Luigi's Mansion with you guys. You can find me here playing in every event that we have all the time. I play a lot of D&D. Like I said, @JakeTheBard_ on all my social media. So I guess that leaves you, Kyle.
I'm Kyle. You can find me at Winking Wizard. You can find me doing this. I don't think we're gonna have another Coffee and Crits for a while. I think on the schedule it's not till like the end of the month. But for taking place of every other Coffee and Crits, we're gonna have a cool world building stream with that guy over there. That guy over there. Yep, Tyler. He's that way. There's my camera. Thank you. With him, Michael, and Catherine are going to do a cool world building stream, which will take place of Coffee and Crits every other week. Place. I will be out of town for 1 week this month. That's why our schedule looks a little bare 1 week. And that's about it. Be sure to follow us, subscribe to us on all the stuff so you don't miss anything cool happening. But yeah, that's about it.
What does Tyler always say? That's right. Subscribe to us with your credit card.
Follow us
Yes,
with your
sir.
credit card. But we'll be sure to tell you about our first edition endeavor on Tomb of Annihilation this Wednesday. We'll see how that goes. Bye, guys.
I'm too broke to gift subs, but you're
See you
not.
guys.
So.
Wow, Tyler, thanks. Thanks.